everybody, and welcome to another episode of the DotP Roundtable. That's where we get together Wednesday and chat about whatever the hell we feel like involving Dota 2. I'm Cyphus. I'm sitting here with the Flub with two Bs.
Hey man, how's it going?
And everybody, please welcome our special guest of the show today, a snow shovel expert, Bursinity.
Hello. Big fan. So in this upcoming winter, if you're like me and you live in the Northeast, you're going to suffer with snow. Or if you live in other places, presumably snow happens in other areas. What you want to do is go to an antique shop. And if you find a old coal shovel, like the real cast iron metal ones, as long as you don't hit your car with it, that is the biggest lifesaver you'll ever have. It cuts right through any level of snow and ice. It's perfect. And they're cheap because they're old. And most people don't know the value of them. But if you get a good I think they're called coal shovels. But
Man, I'm all about it now.
Sign me up. It's honestly life changing. It's made I'm a very small boy, and when it comes to shoveling snow, I'm not good at it. But if you get a nice shovel, it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm already sick of snow shoveling. I've done it once.
Yeah, I just thinking about it tires me out.
Yeah, it was pretty awful. Speaking of Dota-related injuries, I actually got a blister because I didn't wear gloves when I went out to do it, like an idiot. And so yeah, Flub, there's my Dota-related injury for you.
All right, there you go. Well,
Man, I didn't.
Be more careful next time, I guess. Then,
yeah, I'll try.
I should have considered outside of Dota applying into Dota injuries. That would have been a much easier question if I chose that avenue.
Yeah, no, I got a little blister on there, a little cut on there, and they're both right near the top of where the hand bends,
Mm-hmm.
And it makes holding the mouse uncomfortable. So far, it hasn't interfered with Elite Dangerous, so thankfully I'm okay there.
See, now that you say that, actually, I broke my pinky when I first started playing, and I remember that sucking to actually try to click Q because I broke it off the growth plate, so I had a huge cast. So I remember I would hit Q, W, and A all at once when I first started playing.
I had a bunch of really bad head injuries, and I wasn't allowed to look at bright things for a couple of weeks, and no Dota during that time.
Oh, man.
There are a lot of Dota-related injuries out there. They just aren't caused by Dota. Perhaps that's where we went wrong. I was looking for the cause to be Dota.
Yeah.
The pain that we'll suffer because of Dota will be the arthritis we all experience here in about 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years, please. More like 3.
Roland, right now, I didn't tell either of you this before the show. I totally should have. So the wife's water broke, so it's game on. It's baby time.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that's happening. Just an FYI out there. Don't know what that's going to mean for Proudland. So that we'll have to talk about that. Maybe I'll fill in with him, or maybe we'll get somebody else and have a real high level conversation with Proud and somebody else for Proudland on Friday. Not sure yet. And then we may, depending on how things go, may even not have Roland on Monday. So we're gonna be playing it by ear for probably the next week. I'm gonna say. So
sounds fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll bit shake things up in an interesting way around here at DotP.
Yeah.
So this comes at a miserable time for him, by the way, because he's about to calibrate. He was I think 10 games away from calibration.
Do you know how many games it takes?
I want to say it was either 125 or 150 when we according to or between 125 and 150.
Okay,
I think longer games impact the trophy.
Yeah. Okay, because I'm working on a Smurf, although I'm using it in a very different sense to how Roland is using it, presumably. I just want a no pressure account, but I've never leveled a Smurf before because I have no interest in recalibrating. It's literally impossible for me to calibrate at my MMR, so what's the point? But I want to have a no pressure account to just practice stuff I'm not good at on, because the calibration cap is 40, it's between 45 and 48. And it's hard to get into that. And so I imagine I'll probably calibrate low 4s, and then I can just relax and pick mid every game because nobody's going to be better than me, and relax and practice stuff. But so I didn't know how many games it was going to take. So I was I don't want to, if I have to play 200 games, this is not going to be something I'm going to do. But I'm only 30 games in.
That's awesome. It's a great usage of a Smurf too. That makes me think about Smurfing a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Just treating it as that no pressure account where it's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna play whatever the fuck I'm gonna play.
Yeah, I'm always jealous because Proud and Skrunk have those. Skrunk, our offlaner, he has I think I've talked about this before, but he has a Smurf that's just named offlane player, and he picks offlane every game, and nobody contests it because if you have a name like mid player, offlane player, carry player, or I guess support player, you can just pick that role every game, and like almost nobody's gonna argue with you ever.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to delve in. We're gonna, for the first half of the show here, we were gonna talk about when basically the meta feeling stale. I mean, I feel like once before in the 2 years that we've done this podcast, maybe once before did we even start to get into that realm of true, oh my god, when is something going to change? It's been the same for so long. And it's even impacted, some of the discussions we were having today because we're always trying to come up with new topics. And when you've hashed open a patch, when you've dissected a patch, as long as you have this one, I don't know, it becomes difficult to come up with new topics, and it becomes difficult to, I don't know, almost tolerate playing it sometimes. Do you guys ever feel that way?
I guess so. I mean, I definitely play less. I'll say that, which is a symptom of a few different things. But the stale feeling is definitely there. I definitely confirm that one.
Yeah, I'll say it's kind of a chore to play sometimes because I don't want to lose out on my skill, and it kind of brings me more back by not wanting to lose out on being decent at something than it is to actually, enjoy the process and get the maximum enjoyment out of playing a game. Whereas you can go do something else, and if it feels stale after a while, it can get to that point where you just generally don't want to log in, or you're dreading to log in, and it's well, I need to keep up my reactions. I need to keep up the ideas of where items are going to be, what the timings are and stuff like that, and it can get kind of tedious sometimes, for sure.
But yeah. I guess at the same time there are some big positives with a patch not changing this long. I mean, I'll admit that I wind up feeling the longer a patch goes on and the longer stuff bleeds down, through the ranks to everybody about, what to do or what to build or how things are kind of shaping up or changing. I guess I always feel like I can play a little more confidently with hero selections. When a patch first changes, I feel like there's this sweet spot where it's super chaotic and maybe the most dangerous to play ranked. And that is when you may not be fully aware of what's going on within the meta or the meta's shifting. And it's not new enough that nobody knows what's going on. So you can kind of take advantage of that and kind of excel on heroes that you've been playing or that you've mastered over the long run. And then there's that spot at the end where everybody knows what the fuck's going on, or most people know what the fuck is going on. So it doesn't necessarily influence, or it doesn't make you feel concerned to go in and play a certain hero. You can usually feel pretty confident or are very aware that you're playing an underpowered hero, which I think makes you play it a little more successfully sometimes.
Yeah, hopefully it makes you not play it. I've learned my lesson.
Yeah.
We've God, as much as I don't want to reiterate this because we complain about it so many different times, but in Hakuna Matata team practice, I'm obviously the mid player now, and Lina is it used to be my best mid. It was Invoker and Lina. Those were by far my best mids, and TA to some extent, but not to the extent they were. And I've tried to make her work, and I've tried all the different builds, and every time, even if we win, I'm boy, this was so much extra effort, and I put so many things in jeopardy just by picking the hero I like instead of picking any of the good heroes. There's a dozen better mids, and it's come on. Ugh. But yeah, so I feel you. That's definitely a symptom of the staleness of the meta, though, or not even the meta of the patch. It's just even though so many things are viable, it's been 180 or 190 days. This is a really good patch. Don't get me wrong. I think we all acknowledge that it's arguably the best patch in Dota's history. From
a pick rate or a viable pick perspective for the number of heroes that there are.
Yeah, and if you like those 8 to 10 really bad heroes, Like you spent 200 days without being able to confidently play your favorite heroes. Like Skrunk loves Visage, and like Visage is just not like a good hero. Like the hero is just objectively bad. And like, yeah, sure, you can make stuff work if you are good at the hero, but like when in this kind of meta, like anything that lasts this long, regardless of how good it is, it just is not. It's not in the model that Dota usually works in, right? Dota's a game of like, oh, change is exciting, like everybody loves patch notes reviews, and everybody loves like all the excitement of like meta changes. But like, you know, as much as the meta has changed gradually through the last, you know, like a little bit less than 200 days, it's still like, you know, we haven't had any patch notes to binge really, other than like small like 6.88 C, D, E, F
that you can usually consume in a single reading and kind of get. They're pretty targetable for the most part.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, we do like hour-long reviews of them every time, regardless of how short they are.
But I mean, you can feel that they are such a minor change that you can identify the most key changes. You know what I mean? And kind of take those into consideration, especially if you're playing like a limited range of heroes.
Yeah, and they're predictable. Like all those like point F and point D and point E, they're all like changes where it's like, oh, okay, this hero has been picked in every single pro game for the last 2 weeks. Like, hey, maybe let's tune it down a little, or like, you know, something similar like that. Like Omni got nerfed a little, or arguably nerfed. He got nerfed a bit, and and that wasn't a surprise to anybody. Like literally everybody saw 6.88F come out, and they were like, oh, that's the Omni nerf patch, without even going to the patch notes. Like, so those are less exciting, but we'll see.
Yeah, and it's also like I don't know. We were talking about excitement, and just when you get into, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I like log on, for some reason I like don't hear about it until like a couple other people have heard about it, and they like send me a message like, "Have you seen the patch notes?" And that just like makes
Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Christmas or your birthday. It's like, oh yeah, there's someone left presents for you over there. And just, oh man, the rest of the day, you're just, whether you're at work, whether you're at school, whether you're wherever you are, you know, you can like you will take like 5 minutes to just look at your favorite heroes, be excited about what you could possibly do, all the combinations that you could come up with, whether it's like a new item that can like maybe change the way you play a hero. And like help you like kind of understand it to move it into a different way, or just like change the hero in general. Like I remember when Ricky got his changes, I was like, whoa, that's really cool that they changed a character so much like that, or Bloodseeker. I thought that was really interesting, and some people hated it, some people didn't like it, but it's something to be excited about, and it like feels new about the game because you're like rediscovering the game. Kind of the best thing about Dota was when I was first starting to learn the heroes, and I was like, whoa, this guy does this, and he has like this ability that like no one else has, that's really interesting and really hard to use, but if you do it right, then you can clean up like 1v4, or you can farm better than anyone in the game, or this is the best team fight ability in existence, or, you know, it's just like, and you could kind of have that dichotomy of like whenever those big patches come out, it's like, oh, this guy's going to be the offlaner now, and it's kind of fun to just to use your knowledge in a way that's not already decided. It's fine whenever it is decided by the end of the patch, because I feel like I've learned quite a bit by that point. And especially for like items and like item timings, because obviously when new items come out, it's kind of hard to figure out the exact time of when you should have it without actually playing the game, in my opinion. So when the patch gets to this point, you know those timings that you need to hit, and it kind of helps you as a player just get more fine-tuned and more into the flow of what a game should look like. But that's not like if I wanted that as well, I could go to plenty of other games that exist that have that like flat feel. Let
me ask you a question. Do you guys think that Flub, you kind of talking about this made me wonder how many people though don't get kind of the opportunity to convert stale meta into that. Into that opportunity to kind of grow and get used to the flow of a game, or have an idea of what the flow of a game is. How many people do you think just are out there just playing Dota? Do you ever wonder that, or what do you think that are out there not paying attention to patch notes, not paying attention to kind of like this novelty? Because I think it's all. I think from our perspectives, because we are all obviously, I mean, hell, we host podcasts about Dota 2, for Christ's sakes. We enjoy when there's a change like that. It like you mentioned, like it's like Christmas morning for all of us. So I mean, are we getting something out of it that a significant portion of the player base is not?
I mean, I think you asked two kind of different questions, but I think when we talk about like the end of meta, where like everything's figured out and people are still playing games, I think people are still learning different things at that point. Like, even if they're doing it subconsciously, like Flub obviously is thinking about it consciously, like, okay, I know this meta's figured out, so I'm going to focus on, like, my game sense, or I'm going to focus on my item timings or whatever. And so you can kind of focus on different things, especially in a super long patch like this. But, I mean, I do, and obviously the numbers show that there are a lot of people that don't play, and I think we all know people, like a friend that we play with that's like 5K occasionally. Actually, I don't know if you've played with him, Flub. He listened to the stream. Waffles, he's like, he barely plays because he's like, yeah, like this patch has gone on for like so long that I just like, I play other things, I play RPGs, like, because he's just not interested in the game. And I think there are a lot of people like that like taper off in their interest in the game, and instead of like passively playing a game, but like, you know, if one person's disinterested and then their friends become a little disinterested because the meta's stale, then people just aren't playing. So, and this is more applicable to other patches that have been less less evenly balanced than this one, which is generally pretty good. Like, I know I barely played at like the end of certain patches because I was like, I don't want to go into a game and see them pick troll and our team not pick sniper, and then they also get sniper and then want to quit. Like, that's not a fun patch. So
yeah,
this patch obviously I'm still playing. I'm playing less, to be honest. But I do think, to get back to what I tangentialized off of, there are, excuse me, definitely an element of people that don't read patch notes. I think we all run into them, for better or well, definitely for worse, at the beginning of patches, where now it's better in Source 2 because they have the huge pop-up that's like, there's been a gameplay patch, and it pops up every time. But there are those people, and those are the people that, like, they don't read guides, they don't do anything, they don't listen to our podcast. I'm sure of that. And they just play Dota for fun. And, you know, that's not me, that's not you, that's not either of you. But, you know, to each their own, whatever. But I do think,
but you don't think it's a significant portion, or do you?
Significant in that it's probably, like, even if it's like 10% of the total population, that's still like over 1 million people. So in that sense, yeah, it's significant if 1 million people don't do something. But in the sense of, like, I feel like there's a very significant portion of people that just give it like a quick run through, or like they only listen to like one replay review or one patch notes review, or they only look at their heroes. Like I'm sure tons of people do that. We're like, all right, I play Lina and Invoker and Quap and TA, and they go to the patch notes, they see new items, like, okay, new items, whatever. Then they type Control F Lina, Control F TA. Yeah,
sure.
And that's it. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that do that, and a lot of people that just skim it very generally, or that are just like, especially with this next patch, it's apparently going to be huge. And I mean, it should be. There's going to be a lot of people that they're like, I don't have an hour to sit down and like read through and do all the math and like do all these things and now sit around theory crafting. Like, they don't want to bother with that. That's what we're going to do for them, hopefully. So there are a lot of people like that. I don't think there is a significant, like, percentile wise percent of people that just completely ignore it. But, you know, maybe 10 to 20%, I would guess, don't read any patch notes, and then probably 50% skim it once, and then that last 30%, if that, actually that's probably not accurate. It's probably like, I don't want to just arbitrarily dish out percentages, but if I had to guess, I'd probably say it's like 20 to 25% don't read at all. 60 to 65%, like skim it or read it once, or do that like just look at their own heroes thing, and then like 10 to 15%. I don't even know if that adds up to 100, but 10 to 15% are like the type that like they read it very carefully, and then in that 10 to 15%, maybe 5 to 10% actually like watch patch notes reviews or do the extra curricular activities.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we, from our perspective, can sort of speak to the popularity of patches and people being interested in it, because we get to see the numbers of downloads on the episodes, right? We know that anytime we release a patch notes episode, we get way more downloads on those particular episodes usually.
And the YouTube channel too. Like, I mean, the YouTube patch notes reviews get like way more than anything else. And
I think that kind of I guess that would speak more to the popularity of delving into the patch at least a step further. Although maybe a patch review analysis, I know that we dig through it, and we usually end up digging through it just because we do shows on it. But I wonder, sometimes I wonder about like how the Cyphus who never started a Dota 2 podcast would be playing Dota right now. And if I would enjoy or seek out those patch review analyses more out of their convenience as opposed to having to read through them. You know what I mean?
I mean, I love them, and I think there's a certain element to patch notes reviews that is very personal. Like, depending on what the kind of player you are and the kind of personality you are, you may, even if you like, assuming that you are the type of person to go watch them in the first place, different people are going to attach themselves to different kinds of replay. I keep saying replay reviews, patch notes reviews. So obviously, I'm percentile wise a very, very good player, and I consume Dota stuff ravenously. So for instance, in 6.88, I listen to every single patch notes review from anybody that I respect, which is a lot of people within the like patch notes review community that does them consistently. So I listen to Merlini's, and I listen to Purge, and I listen to pro player ones, and I listen to Caps one and all that. But I can. And then, I skipped a few of them from people that I know I'm better than, or people that I just, there's just so much content you can consume. But there are also, in that subsection of people, like a lot of people, I imagine they listen to one, and, hopefully they listen to ours. I will say that. Me and Proud always do a very long one. I'm sure next patch, probably Flub will be there.
Next time what we're going to do is we'll do the podcast with you guys live when it comes out. And then we'll we'll have you run through it. Hell, maybe we'll throw Flub on there and let you guys, just do a 3-man high level analysis for it.
Yeah, that's the game plan. Or, I mean, if it does come out on a weird day, we'll just do it with whoever's there, because some days some hosts are busy or whatever.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Regardless, I think there are a lot of people that if they're going to go that extra mile to listen to a replay review, many people are going to go to Purge because he's very accessible to lower level players, which would definitely, I think you would fit in that subsection, Cyphus, if you had never had a podcast. And even with the podcast, like, he's very accessible to the like sub 4K, like he gives.
I still scope them out periodically.
I watch them.
Yeah, it's not only for lower level players. Like, Purge is just a good guy to learn from. Like, yeah, I mean, he explains it for lower level players.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting to. Like,
that's what his intent is. But I'm sorry, I couldn't.
No, I you are agreeing with me actually. Like, Purge presents it in like that ideal way for lower level players and mid level players. But it's still like he still offers insight that is accessible and useful to higher level players, if that makes sense. Whereas if you're watching a replay review from only pro players, like I forget which pro players did it, but for 6.88, some like some like host caster had like a panel of like 3 pros on. I think Aoi was on it for some reason, but they were giving like really specific insight that like would be worthless to like somebody that's low to middle level. And like maybe you'd like get a little bit of it. Like, they get on that really tiny minutia that is, honestly speaking, worthless knowledge if you're like a low to mid-level player. Like, I'm just going to make up a random patch note. If they increase the cooldown on Iron Talon by 1 second when it comes to the active that does the minus 40%, somebody like Purge would just skip over that. He'd be like, yeah, it's going to slow down the speed a little. But if you're listening to a patch notes review from a pro player, they're going to be like, okay, this makes Iron Talon X amount worse, like, and give exact percentile base. And they're going to talk about how, like, all right, well, now Axe is going to have his blink dagger 30 seconds slower. He's going to have, blank, blank, and blank. And like I said, like, that's useless knowledge if you're playing at a lower to middle level. And it's still useless knowledge if you're playing at a high level, let's be honest. But if you are seeking out that kind of information, that is a very specific kind of person. So I feel like I've gotten on like some crazy tangent, but
no, in fact,
I think this is very applicable to our listeners. And actually, it's not applicable to our listeners because they should just be listening to me and Proud and Flub talk about it when it comes out.
Of course.
Yeah. So they ignore everybody else. We're the best. Yeah. We're the best of both worlds, right? We're all. Me and Proud are 5K. Flub is close, and
man, I gotta get that done. Oh my god, it's just
good luck, buddy. I know you're like me. You're good at early on in patches, so I believe in you. But I feel this is just shameless self promotion at this point. I feel like we have a very nice like mid level insight where like we're all high level players percentile wise. And we all think about the game deeply and like have experience talking about the game for hours on end every single week. And we talk about it in a way that I feel is accessible to lower level players. But, through talking to each other, you get to that really high level of insight where like I'm like me and Proud, for instance, in our patch notes reviews, we talk about so many things that I then saw pro players make mistakes on or like in those other reviews or like they didn't get it. Or they didn't see it, and then like later on, like we would be right about stuff. Like we called a lot of stuff. I'll be honest. We've been amazed at how like incredibly like kind of somewhat accidentally successful we were with our 6.88 predictions and stuff. But like we called a lot of things. So
yeah. Well, I mean, and in general, like it's what happens for anyone, right? Like I mean, it's going to happen less for them. But there are going to be 2K players that call stuff too when they understand certain facets of the game, and especially if you have multiple people like we do, you're going to have your vision on the support side of things. You've played support for so long, and now you have that mid background. You've had a mid background for a long time. I feel like the only thing that you don't really know too much about is offlane. Ursi, but like
I agree.
Pretty much every other position you can talk about with a good amount of knowledge behind you. And then Proud is under like a similar idea. I feel like he is just more focused on carry than you are.
Yeah, that's for sure. I was gonna say I don't feel like it's similar at all. I feel like Proud is very, very specialized. But
yeah, but he also can play some mids. He can play some supports.
I don't want to disparage my lovely co-host, but now that him and Roland have their Friday show, I feel like I need to be a lot combative with people thinking Proud is like. I feel like I need to like combat it. This is gonna get back into the age-old argument.
Proud is better.
He's definitely not.
I just wanted to make sure.
Can I get on a tangent right now? I feel like I've interrupted Flub, but I just want to talk about something. Okay,
go for it, buddy.
Flub, you were just talking about how you wanted to climb to 5K so that you could be up there with me and Proud. And the most annoying thing in all this race to 5K thing is that Proud spammed 3 heroes, and I played a whole ton of stuff. Everybody says it's equal. They're like, oh yeah, they got it at the same time, whatever. And Proud, and he admits this freely. He's like, yeah, I just played Drow every game, and every game I couldn't play Drow, I played Omni. It's like, well, I mean, he climbed 5K spamming the most OP meta thing in the entire world. And I was like, I'm just going to play things. I played carry. I'm not a carry player. I played support. I played mid sometimes. That was when I was not a mid player. And I beat him to it. I'm so like tilted by this. Every time it comes up, freaking Friday show people ruining my life.
It's great. Like I know I feel for you, man. But like, man, it's great that you guys are going versus each other. Because like I thought once you guys would get to 5K, it'd be like, hey Flub, how you doing down there, buddy? And not just like, oh, because I was ahead of you two during like I don't know, like for like 5 months or so.
Oh yeah,
and I was like at
49.40 for a long time.
Yeah, I just like was barely touching it. I was like,
where are you at now, Flub?
48. I'm like 48, 43 now, so
okay.
I'm getting back up there again,
yeah.
but it's a slow trek.
You just got to win the next 6 games in a row.
I mean,
Right.
it's not that hard. Like, you can just hit a lucky streak, and like I remember I had one day where I won like 5 in a row, and I was like, boy, I'm set. Like, easy game.
GG easy.
Yeah.
GG easy.
All right, well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to redirect the conversation away from the stale meta and who's
the best player in Hakuna Marana.
And then we'll delve into something new. So stick with us, folks. We'll be right back. And welcome back, everybody. So kind of to delve into a little bit of what we talked about at the start of the show, and kind of its applicability from watching patch analyses and whatnot. We wanted to address how we have utilized builds, videos, Reddit posts, things that have advised us or inspired us to try something new, or try something that's standard or becoming standard, and how we've managed to implement that in our own play. I don't know, Ursa, you were the one who kind of wanted to bring this up in the first place. Why don't you start us off? Let us how are you doing that? What do you even utilize?
So we talked about this a little bit last week, but I use a lot of when it comes to like late in the meta stuff. When it comes to like learning new heroes, I use Dota buff guides, and I just look and find somebody that like I actually know and respect compared to just some random schmuck. I kind of find out what the consensus is, and I feel like the topic with this, and kind of the reason I brought it up, because it's very easy to get information about Dota, right? Like any of us could just Google Dota buff blank or space and then the hero, and then you see, all right, sniper, and then what do? It's like, okay, well, you build phase, then you build Dragonlance, and then or you build phase Aki Dragonlance, and it's easy to see that information and very different to actually apply it. So I brought this up because it's like Dota is such a complicated game that you have to use community assets, basically. If you want to play this game with any modicum of success, you need to use community assets. You need to go to people, you need to listen to shows, and whether it's us or Purge or whatever. So it's something that I just find really interesting, that, you know, there's like, it's like a multi-stage battle, right? If you're trying to learn something in Dota, there's so many things to learn from the get-go that you can't just not have information and then have information. Like, it's not a two-way street, right? It's, you don't have information, you have to find some way to get that information, then you find that information, and then you have to practice that information and then apply it. It also depends on like whether you're learning game stuff or specific hero stuff. But it's just such a complicated process, and it's so easy. I think we all learn things and then don't do anything with them. Or we learn things and then we try to do something with them and fail miserably. So a good example recently with me has been learning mid, of course. And learning especially heroes I don't know. Like using, all right, so as a specific example, I've been playing a ton of Mirana. I've been having a ton of fun with her. We've been drafting her a lot for Hakuna Mirana practices. And I've playing her my Smurf. Like, it's a good time. And I've also been roaming Mirana anytime I can't play mid in pubs. And before I even played Mirana, I had been given the information. Proud told me, and I'd seen it in pro games, that mid Mirana arrows the range creep at the first chance she can, so that you don't get denied. You have a natural XP advantage, assuming you get any denies, and it's worth a lot. And then you arrow successive catapults. That way they don't push into you, and you get all that gold and all that XP. So getting that information is very simple, right? Like, you all that listen to this now have that information, and it's very easy to just hear it. But I tried to apply that information just like willy-nilly, and I like messed it up like the first couple of games, because, you know, it's very easy for the hero to just stand next to the range creep. Or if equilibrium's in a weird way, then you have to like manipulate it so that you have a clear path to the range creep. And yeah.
I can speak to that pretty directly as well with was one of the things that I had done was, and I mentioned this on the show yesterday with you, Flub, when we were talking about the upcoming Boston Major, and that was watching from the player perspective for SCCC.
Yeah.
In specific, I was watching him play OD, and I know I've touched on this on the show before, but I noticed very quickly, oh, he's super methodical in the way that he runs OD, and then I would later learn that he has this kind of a process for every hero that he plays. But OD in particular, he was going the Astral build first, which was weird to see to begin with. It was not what I had ever heard anybody tell me to do in a pub. Most people told me, hey, you max that last, these days.
That's what everybody does. Everybody maxes it first.
But so I was watching what he was doing, and basically, it was the same. It was a similar kind of a concept. It was, but it was ensuring that he got the range deny. Basically, every time the range creep was starting to be attacked by the creep wave, he knew that was time to implement an Astral. He would throw the Astral down on the enemy, deny the range creep, and basically ensure that slight EXP advantage in lane every time. And he knew it'd be off cooldown by the next time the next range creep would be up, and like clockwork, he was doing that.
Oh yeah.
And I did the same thing. I was like, okay, I am going to do this every time I play mid. And I'd say the first 4 or 5 games that I attempted to implement it, my timing was just completely fucked. And I watched the guy do it 100 times, but I couldn't translate that without some pretty significant practice.
Oh yeah, I mean, Dota is a game where you're managing so many things at any given time that it's a game where you see people do things and you think it's simple. And this falls back to the whole Dunning-Kruger argument that people always bring up about people that are bad or people that are have spent a lot of time in something think that they're way better than they actually are, when in fact they are not great. And I've completely messed up how the Dunning-Kruger effect is. But that's the general thing, is it's very easy to watch a pro player or a high level player do something and think, I can do that. I have the physical ability to hit W on a range creep with OD and ensure that and get harassed the offlaner. It's simple to watch. But when you're actually applying that information, it's not only are you applying that information, but you're also applying the general, decorum for mid players. So you're managing that. You might be getting ganked. You have to watch the mini map. You have to look at the clock and think, oh, do I have a rune coming up? Do I even buy a bottle in this matchup? Do I do X? Do I do Y? Do I do Z? So that's where it gets difficult. It
seems so easy in theory or hypothetically, when you are watching it, and it's the only variable that you have to pay attention to. I think is the big thing of note. You're 100% right. The moment I got into the game, it was like, oh yeah, I'm still worrying about what I'm about to buy next, what's going on in the minimap. Being anxious because I don't have vision in a particular location where I'm certain that a gank could come from.
Yeah. I don't have uphill vision, but I want to do the range creep. And what do? I can't walk uphill. I can't manipulate the creep aggro down. Suddenly everything is ruined and I lost lane and now I'm dead.
Well, and to mention the normal stress of if you're a lower skill player still trying to do things like making sure that you're getting those last hits. I mean, if you're still trying to master even just base mechanics in the game, or you have to pay attention to your base mechanics in a game in order to ensure that they're on point, those little subtle strategy things that need to be, you need to have done it so much that it becomes secondhand to you. And that takes a lot of practice, and doesn't necessarily mean that you're incapable, I guess, of implementing it, but damn, you can notice those little things, but you've got to take the time to make them be second nature.
Yeah, for sure. The thing is it's with any game, any video game, any, not necessarily any sport, because sometimes it's crazy by watching someone play a game and they crush a ball. And it's oh my God, that guy's super strong. But in video games, obviously, it kind of seems more simple. And just in a shooter, I don't know. Growing up, I was really big into Halo, and seeing guys just no scope or go across the screen real fast and get a headshot from really far away was, it's okay. I can do that.
Yeah, or do the pistol battle rifle combo. I could never. I mean,
that was awesome.
Oh yeah, or BXR.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know it has like some fancy name, but I just remember it's like you get the alien pistol, you charge it, and you swap to the battle rifle really quickly, and then you swap back to the pistol and you hit them.
Because the alien pistol would degen the shields 100%, and then you swapped over the battle rifle and you just did a quick headshot.
It was I mean, me and my friends always called it noob combo, but I don't know what the true name was. But like we were haters on that for sure.
Oh yeah, it sucked, dude. In the sense that it was really good.
You know what I used to do? I know this is sidetrack. I am famous for being the Spartan laser master.
Oh yeah. I think I could give you a run for your money, man.
Like, I'd love to see it, Flub.
We'll have to do that sometime.
We will. Someday we will whip out the Halo 3. We've got the Elgato here. We'll stream it. We'll stream it for everybody to see.
Exactly. Like I played it recently, man. I feel like such a worse player after like playing Dota so much for so long. Yeah. It's not the same, man. It's not the same. But no, kind of getting off track a little bit there, but the idea is like that you get into these situations where you're taken aback from the moment, and stress and just the situation can call for different things, especially like, I mean, everyone knows the stress that you have when a pudge is on the game, and that adds like 5 layers of stress that maybe a pro wouldn't have in that particular game. And it just seems easier for them in that situation, or like a Ricky or something like that. And you can have these like different little like plays and ideas on how something should move or feel. But for me personally, I don't get too discouraged when I'm playing, because I always remind myself of that too. It's like I want to hit this at this time, and that's also kind of like the support player in me, where it's like if I'm playing a support position, it's nowhere as big a deal if I don't hit the times, because it's more important if I do a good job warding and getting to the right position, and making sure that they don't get dewarded, is probably a better use of my time than it is guaranteeing getting farm for a certain scenario for myself. Whereas for someone else, it's obviously super important. So for me, whenever I'm trying to do something new or trying some different strategy out, I don't feel like the same urgency as probably you guys would, in the way that I can have maybe like Weaver, playing support Weaver. That just sounds like so much fun to me, because like I love doing random stuff like that. That it's, even if I have a really bad game, or even if like it doesn't work out, it's like, okay, I learned a lot of what I can do with like no farm at this point, and how far I can take this character.
Yeah, or like how to use the aghanims. Like that would probably be the first hiccup in learning support Weaver, at least for me. It's like I've literally never bought aghanims on support Weaver. I mean, on any kind of Weaver, because I've never played support Weaver. But like I know that is like the core item of the build. It's like, you go. Actually, I don't even know. I don't want to make illusions as though I know exactly how support Weaver is played. I just know the main big item is Ags.
Yeah, it is.
I think it is like. You buy an urn early, maybe you go medallion, and then eventually you build Ags. I think you might build mana boots too. I don't know, but
it's pretty important for you to have I mean, obviously it's important to have it on every character right now with raindrops, but him more so than anyone else, he needs that like barrier buffer. So it's not something that you can like, oh, I don't have a raindrop for the next like minute. It's like you always have to have that on your character at all times.
But
sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. It's just it is interesting to me. Applying knowledge this is such like a kind of amorphous conversation where like there is knowledge that is very foreign, and so like if you've never played Weaver before, but like in general he's played as like an aggressive offlaner or a solo safe laner, 1v1 when you're aggro trying, like that is a basic knowledge that anybody would have if you played enough Dota and seen the hero. But then also learning like, okay, actually he can also be played as a support, and then learning that like that information is so far flung from what you currently are aware of compared to if you've already been playing tons of Weaver and then as like a core, and then suddenly learned like, oh, actually he can be played in this way, and then you have like you have to basically climb less stairs to get to that information, if that makes sense. It's a really bad analogy, but or metaphor, but basically it just some knowledge is more foreign than others, or like learning a very simple concept like, oh, the catapults spawn every, what is it, like every 8 waves or something. Is that right?
I think it's every 8 waves. I'm pretty sure.
All right. I was like
every 4 minutes.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. That sounds about right. Yeah. I honestly don't know. This is just one of those things where like I've internalized like, oh, okay, catapult should be coming here. But yeah.
Google
it. Like that kind of general information, it's very like easy to. This is what I'm trying to get at before I like mumble around it and get on more tangents. Is it's very easy to get that information and to go on the Dota 2 wiki and look up, as I should be doing right now, Dota 2 creeps. And then you look up and you Control F the catapult and it says, okay, great, creeps does not solve that problem. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to bother going farther.
Siege creeps spawn every 3 minutes and 30 seconds, with the first one spawning at 3 minutes.
Okay, so we're close.
Well, it makes more sense because then the time limit for day and night is 4 minutes. So
yeah,
that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and so it's one thing to go to the Dota 2 wiki, look at the lane creeps page, and say like, oh, okay, every time I kill a mega creep, I'm gonna get between 16 and 24 gold. But it's a whole nother thing to get that information and then actually apply it and realize like, okay, well, they just mega creeped one of our lanes. That's going to reduce my incoming gold from the lane creep. So I'm going to have to go into the jungle more because I'm going to get more creeps in the jungle, or I'm going to, be able to farm more creeps. Let's say if you're stuck in your base because they're going to push harder, they're going to trade less, whatever. So I think what I'm really trying to get at is the difference between somebody telling you, siege creeps spawn every 7 waves, and you actually saying, what does this change about my play, and how do I apply the knowledge that siege creeps spawn every 7 waves? Like when you get to it, it's like, okay, it's 7:30. I want to push starting at 7. And that way, if I push slowly, I'll have a double creep wave, or if I push quickly, I'll have a 1.5 creep waves because the tower will kill it. And then alter your play around that and think like, all right, I'm playing Invoker mid. I am going to have double forge right around the time of the second catapult because it's going to be spawning at 6:30 6:30? Yeah, 6:30. And you won't have double forge by then. But you're going to think, all right, I'm going to push at this point, and then I'm going to push again at, 10, right? So it's all about, applying the information, not just getting it, not just listening to this podcast and saying, oh, I didn't know that, and then, deleting that information or never applying it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely hard to do that. Like, even when it's good information, if I'm like playing with people I don't know, or just like someone that's I play with all the time, and they like tell me, oh, this is the way that you do it. It's always hard because you get into Dota is like we're talking about it right now. Dota is a game about patterns. After a while, and you develop these certain patterns, whether they good or bad. And after a time, I feel like older players kind of become more jaded in their ways. A lot of times, I'd like to think I'm generally someone who will like be open to suggestions and ideas, and I try to pride myself on that. But it may go in one ear, and I might be really excited about it, and then when I reload the game, I'm just like going back to like the old like, okay, this is what I know about this hero, and then like kind of like go on to autopilot once again. I don't know if that happens to you too, but that definitely happens to me.
Oh yeah, it's so easy to fall back into old behaviors and old patterns. It's it's one of the things I felt most proud of myself for mastering, and I've talked about it on the Monday show before, but was recognizing one of like the common fatal flaws in my fellow 2K players as being that they felt the need to get a return kill after they had died in lane, and recognizing that and being conscious of it and making sure that I had the regen to take care of myself and be prepped for a battle when they respawned, or making sure that if I was super low that I didn't hang around in lane, knowing that the enemy was going to come in and be aggressive. Like implementing that, I was rewarded for doing that time and time again. I would frequently wind up getting 2 kills and just wind up having somebody feed me in lane. But it was also at the same time, it was really easy to not halt that instinct sometimes in myself when I was on the flip side of that. When I had made a mistake and like recognizing that even I had that urge where it's like, yeah, your gut instinct is to get vengeance. I don't know if you guys are you guys that way in a game? Like when you die, you want blood.
Oh, of course. I mean, I'm an adult, so I stymie that, but
Right.
You definitely, it happens more so. Oh God, this is terrible. Okay, so I am naturally a very competitive person, in case you haven't guessed it. But the mid player in me, every time, like I'm sure this is bled through on the podcast, but I've been like reassuming how I was like a year, like a couple of years ago before I became a support player, and like I feel like part of a mid player is being like super overconfident and being like very like, firm. And so I've been like reinvesting myself in that persona, both intentionally and unintentionally. But as a mid player, and this is kind of ruined because nowadays freaking mid is always me getting dual laned, but that is another conversation. Anyway, when I like get denied, I feel as though I have to deny them in turn. And like,
Right.
if they get a last hit, I'm like, man, I have to deny the next one. Exactly. Or it's like, okay, they denied their range creep. I have to deny mine. And if I don't, I'm just going to like go get a rune and I don't care. And so I really like it. I wouldn't say it tilts me, but like, it's definitely always in my mind where it's like, okay, I'm always trying to do the mental math and think like, okay, they've gotten 3 creeps from this wave, but they pushed it because she's playing Quap and she's Scream of Pain. This last one would make her get the entire creep wave. And even though that's a relatively arbitrary metric, like it's still just 1 creep. But in my mind, I'm like, oh God, if she gets that last range creep, she's going to get super confident because she just got an entire creep wave over me. And I only got 3 out of those. So that kind of stuff definitely gets in my mind. It's less so with kills, but more so with like lane mechanics.
But I mean,
like
that
if
kind
I
of
get outplayed, yeah.
But that kind of stuff is, I mean, I think it's a perfect example of what Flub's talking about, like being able to, not being able to overcome that or recognize that and fall into that behavior is what makes the difference between, like losing the lane in the long run versus, being behind. Yeah, you're behind in the creep battle, but maybe you can still win the lane war if you just stymie that instinct.
Yeah, you alter your plans, or you think, it's like famously in chess, you always want to be thinking at least, a few moves ahead. People say that the best chess players think 7. That's not very true at all. Most people think a lot farther ahead, and most of us think way less far ahead. But it's definitely like, using that example from earlier, if that Quap just beats you on an entire wave, but she's Screaming Pain for it, you got to think, all right, she just spent whatever it is, 120 or 140 mana. And then you got to think like, all right, what are the ramifications of that? Okay, well now she's down. She doesn't have her bottle yet because it's only, 130. She's probably not gonna have her bottle for another 30 seconds to a minute, depending on this. Okay, well I can now levy the fact that I have full mana and I'm playing Lena and she has half mana and she's playing Quap and do X, Y, and Z, and then I can even it out. But then, like you said, in the moment, if you overreact and you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna hit him a bunch because why not? And then like you just die because it's like, okay, well, he phantom struck me, he got his bottle out at just the right time, and then X, Y, and Z happened, and suddenly I'm dead. So this is definitely very true. Acting on instinct can go horribly. Just every dive shows that, right?
Yeah, well, and I think this kind of speaks to the broader conversation in general, and Flub, to kind of get back to what you're talking about. Yeah, I think it's implementing those lessons learned, and falling into old behaviors, whether that's because of a subpar instinct that you have, or I mean, it's almost like a tiny rage in the game, right? to act that way.
Or it's like muscle memory. Like there's any number of things can prevent you from applying new information, especially if it's like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like Invoker is actually a great example when it comes to muscle memory, especially, and like internalized patterns versus like patterns you're doing intentionally. So the one of the big combos on Invoker, of course, is Tornado. Then you put Meteor down, and then you send out a Deafening Blast, and it makes them take extra Meteor damage because it does damage based on travel time. And the better way to do that is to Tornado, and then you throw an EMP on the ground because you have enough time if you have Ags, or if you have Ags Octarine. I forget if you need both, but you can definitely do it. So you can Tornado, and then EMP, and then Tornado, and then Meteor, and then Deafening Blast, and they're taking an entire extra ability worth of damage. They're losing mana, etc. But if you've already played hundreds of games where you're doing this Tornado, Meteor, Deafening Blast 3-part combo, then it's really hard to train that information. Even if somebody tells you oh, hey, this is way more optimal, you're probably going to have a lot of difficulty doing it just because okay, you're so used to hitting all these buttons fast. You then adding in an additional 4-5 clicks. Learning new things is difficult. It's you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can't teach
an old Dota player new meta.
Yeah, exactly. That's the name of the episode if I've ever heard one.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I've actually been having that problem with Invoker specifically, because there's just a few combos where it's I know I could do this a little better, but is it worth my effort to make this minute difference? When yes, obviously the answer to that question is yes, it's definitely worth it. But my answer is that sounds like work, and that's about it.
I guess at the end of the day, I would hope that the message taken away from this is that it sounds like really no matter where you get that information from, where the source, it's going to take effort to implement them. It's going to take time to make them a behavior. That's psychology. That's life. That's your human brain. If you don't take the time and remain mindful and conscious of the behavior that you're trying to change, then you never will. I mean, even and you have to be super hyper vigilant about it. Maybe even to your detriment, or maybe even to the detriment of other behaviors for a short time.
Yeah.
I would say, I back to that OD example, I talked about how, when I made the realization of I need to start maxing Astral, again, that's how to play OD again. I still had a match where I went in and I out of instinct, because something was going on and I was running away while I was leveling, I didn't level Astral when I should have.
Yeah.
And it was just behavior. It was yet again, I have way more matches. I have way more muscle memory responding to the stimuli of, oh, I'm level 3 now, I skill Astral again, or oh, I'm level 4 now, I skill Astral for the second time. That was really tough to overcome.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, Flo, but just one quick comment is a lot of it is just, you don't want to bite off more than you can chew when you're learning new things or when you're applying new things. Or even if you learn a lot of things, take it piece by piece, right? To go back to the Invoker example, if you've never played Invoker before and you're suddenly consuming ravenously Invoker information, that's not helping you. If you just read every Invoker guide on Reddit, sure, you might learn some things, but you're not going to be in the middle of a game thinking about all those little things, right? You got to take it one at a time, right? Learn how to use this ability and that ability. Don't worry about the other 6, learn 3, and then, then pick up another one, and then another one, and then another one. So, yeah, don't be too ambitious when you're learning new things. I'll say that much.
I'll also say that I felt like it's important to reiterate that, even if you feel like this is something that holds you down as a player, everyone experiences this, and it's not something that makes you a noob, or there's a lot of that mentality that oh, you don't do this way, then you're doing it wrong, and that type of ideology, and you're not getting this at this time. Oh, why am I even playing this game? I mean, obviously we all know this, but I just want to reiterate for those who feel like that they're low for some reason and that this is the reason why. It's no, this may be a contributing factor, but everyone struggles with this problem. Learning something new is what this game challenges you to do, and having that insight, having that that idea of the game is what we are all striving for, whether you're 1K or whether you're 5K. So just don't look at that too harshly. There are other things that you should definitely look at too, like basics. Learning the basics of like what a hero's supposed to do is, I would argue, way more effective than like learning like a support weaver. It's much better to learn like what weaver is like as a carry when you're first like understanding the hero, and then like transfer over to something else where that's a little bit different, whether it's like something that just came out that patch to understand what the hero is. But the evolution of heroes is a very key thing to learn about, and if you can go back and understand why they're switching, you can get a heads up on those around you. Because a lot of times people will just go from patch to patch and they'll forget about what they learned before, or people are joining every day and they don't want to learn what the hero was before. So just keep it open mind. That's all I want to leave everyone on.
And I'm going to add before we close this out that if the thing that you're trying to learn, if you're listening to this episode and you're thinking, okay, where do I go and learn something? One place that you could go and learn something new, if you're interested in just that new thing being a hero build or a hero guide, Ursi and Proud, they started what's the account? Where can folks find that with all the builds?
God, you're bringing shame to me. It's DotPbuilds@tumblr.com, and I still have not put anything on there. I'll be honest.
Okay. Well, you can learn from Proud, who is the second place contender.
I've been meaning to. Maybe I'll do some tonight, but it's just like the Steam builds thing is the most tilting thing in the entire world. It bothers me every single day of my life. Every time I play Invoker, I add new items to my build and they don't stick. And then every time I play Invoker after that, I have to re-add the items. Like Midas, I don't know, maybe it's Midas. There are a bunch of items that aren't on his recommended, and I have to add them every time, and they go away every time. God, okay. But yeah, at the very least, Proud's lovely builds are on there. Mine will be on there at some juncture. If not now, when you're listening to this, at some point they will.
All right, fair enough. All right, I'm going to go around. We're going to start closing her out. Give everybody a minute if they got something left to add. Flub, any final closing thoughts for everybody?
I would have to say that when you take this game, I actually, you know what? When you get bored with the game, I suggest trying something new. I know that it's not truly Dota at this point, but like I love ability draft. Like some people will go play a non-ranked game, and that's cool for them. But for me, playing those silly games, playing those games that are like kind of make you look at the game at a different way, different angle, are like what you should do for Dota to stay as versatile and as well thought out as you can see. And like you go and you play one of those games and you have one of the rough games where like the abilities line up, you kind of appreciate where Dota is after playing the really, really silly ones.
Ursi?
Let's see. My last minute. God, I was just thinking of something I wanted to talk about, and then I immediately forgot it because I was thinking about the Boston Major. Gosh, okay. Yeah. So let's do our patch notes review. So the patch is supposed to be coming out December 12th, and that is a Monday. So Tuesday, we will have a full patch notes review out. I think it'll probably be me, Flub, and Proud, and we might have Scrunk on for the off-lane perspective. That might help if he's around. I know he's super busy on Mondays especially. So,
well, we're going to try to broadcast that live.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do after the fact is capture the audio for that and release it as a podcast in the feed, just whenever it comes out. I know that we've thought that we had the date figured out before, and it's changed on us. So
I believe it's December 12th.
The 12th?
Yeah, it's a Monday.
It's a Monday. So then if it comes out, okay, gotcha. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, okay, comes out Monday. We'll stream the patch notes review live Monday night, and then Tuesday we'll be releasing it. And of course, on our shows, I'm sure we'll do like Cliff Notes versions of like our top. I know previously what we've done, at least on Thursdays, we've done like our top 5 changes or our top 10 whatever changes. So I'm sure we'll be doing stuff like that. But
yeah,
if you like,
it'll be all the rage for like a week.
Exactly.
So we'll all be talking about it, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, even after that week, like those episodes are still popular. Like for people that are getting back into Dota, they're like, oh boy, what was the last patch? Let's watch a review. Like that happens. Trust us, we see the numbers. So get excited for that. It's like my favorite time, honestly. It's like some of the best Dota thinking that happens for sure.
And it's the most exciting time to be in a pub because you go into the pub and it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna try anything.
Oh god, it's terrifying. Yeah, but it's interesting. I'm looking forward to it, that's for sure. And it may or may not end up being like 6 to 8 hours, so maybe we'll budget it up.
Yeah, if we have to, we will. If we have to do like part 1 Monday and part 2 Tuesday, maybe we'll.
Yeah, or I mean Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, but
yeah,
we'll see. I know me and Jack for what was it, like 6.87? I want to say we did like 5 hours, and then that was only half of the review, and then he and Woodshrew did another 3. Yeah, like these things get intensive when you really think about it. But that's like you want quality over quantity, or quality. No, you want quality and quantity.
Yeah,
like,
you're getting quality and quantity there.
Yeah, we're men of many talents.
Well, it's
right?
one of those where if you want quality, you have to get quantity.
Yeah,
that's the.
And if you want the abridged versions, yeah. And if you want the abridged versions, we have that too, of course, on our regular shows. But I love patch notes reviews, and I feel pretty confident. Like, we got a lot of things right with 6.88, so we're gonna a lot of things right with 7.0 or 6.89 or whatever. Trust us. That's a promise. Right. I don't know what I'm promising, but I'm promising something.
I'm gonna say if you're getting tired, you can always fly around in Elite Dangerous with your old buddy Cyphus. It's a good time.
Yeah, you can review the Elite Dangerous patch notes.
That's right.
I don't think Roland would let you put that on .p, but you could put it on somewhere else.
No. He gave me a stern talking to last night.
Yeah.
When I left here. Oh yeah. Said, hey, when was the last time you played Dota? And I was like, I don't know, 5 days ago. And he said, you got to play Dota if we're going to talk about Dota.
Well, can I make a confession then? Yeah, I've played a bit of Dota, like a few games, but I've mostly been playing the new Tomb Raider game. And if you hate physics and love like escapist fun and killing Russians, the new Tomb Raider game is so fun. Like, I love the reboot of that series is so good. Like, it's honestly maybe the most like relaxing, like escapist game that I've played, because like Dota's so stressful. I love RPGs and stuff like that. But like, I got it on sale on GameStop, which like they sell CD keys now on their website. Got on GameStop for $15. It was awesome. Like, that game's so fun.
I'm gonna look into. I'm hardcore into the Elite right now, but when I pick up Civ 6, I'll probably do it through GameStop. I was surprised at how cheap some of those prices were, even for brand new games.
Yeah, I mean, they got to try to stay in business somehow, right? But I can't recommend Tomb Raider enough. Honestly, the games are so fun. You can get the like first one, which is also super fun, for like dumb cheap, like $10. Even like they go on sale every time. Oh god, that game's so good. I love it.
Yeah, I have not played any of the reboot, but I'd absolutely love to.
You should.
I always had fun with that game years and years ago.
I'm not done with the second one yet, but the first one I think I'd beaten like 12 to 16 hours, I think, and I did a lot of the collectible stuff. I didn't do all of it, but like they're very like, if you're like sick at home for like a week, or if you're like have an extra weekend, or you want to take a break from Dota, they're like perfect games for that. I can't recommend them enough. They're like really underrated games, like super fun. God bless.
All right, well, if you guys want to find us and hear more about Dota, you can go to defenseofthepatients.com. You can also find us on Twitter at .p_show. I'm at .p_Cyphus. That's at Bursinity. That's at Flub Dota. That's with 2 B's. We might knock him down to 1.8 B's.
Oh, what?
Well, I don't know.
Why we get knocked down?
Like a B and a lowercase d, or like a B and a lowercase b, or like a
Whatever.
B and a D, or 2 D's.
Whatever. Ursi just took all my talking points this time. I'll let him have it this week.
Flood with 2 D's.
Ursi can have half my B. It's okay.
I mean, I don't want your B's, dude. I like my name.
What?
I'm trying to take letters off my name.
Oh, these are fighting words. That they are. Jeez.
I've been
not gonna accept my B's.
I've been gradually working my name from Ursinity down to just Ursi, because Ursinity is so many syllables, and I can't be like Ursib. I don't want to be Ursib or Bursy.
Yeah, I like Bursy.
Yeah. Herbsy.
Old Bursy.
Old Bursy.
Old Bursy, man. Old Bursy, man. That's perfect.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, sorry, Flub. you're the third ranking member on Ham, and Proud was saying last night. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. I gotta talk to him though, and
You're talking down to Skrunk right now.
It's true. You are.
Proud suggested 1.6 Bs. I fought for you, man, to keep that 1.8. Yeah. We'll be voting on it later tonight. So.
Gotcha. And then Fafnir. Fafnir doesn't get a shout on this. He doesn't get a
no.
Nope.
He doesn't get any portion of any Bs.
He gets too many shouts already. No.
You guys support together. You basically share those 2 Bs already.
Yeah, that's true.
If Fafnir leaves the team, you have to give him 0.9 Bs.
Oh, okay.
And then he'll be Fafnir.
Fafnir, yeah.
Yeah, you can also find us on iTunes.
Fabfnir.
Google Play. All your favorite podcasts. Fabnir?
Yeah, because he's fabulous.
Fab. Yeah, I like Fabnir. All right, I'm good with that. Let's see, where else can you find us? youtube.com/.ptv1. That's a number 1, not spelled out 1. That's what we mean when we say numeric 1. .ptv1. That's where you get like the patch notes and stuff that Ursi was talking about earlier. We will definitely post patch notes there. There are already some extended patch notes videos. In fact, if you want to go back and see and double check Ursi on what they called, well, go to YouTube and check it out and look at the 6.88 patch notes and then tweet at Ursi about all the things he was wrong about. That would be entertaining. If we get a laundry list, I'll just read them all straight through here on the show.
I would be interested to know that too, but I know we were right about a lot of things.
Yeah, well, just tell us what he was wrong about. I don't care what he was right about.
Yeah. Oh, tell us what I was right about too. I mean, at least make it the full thing, or like make a checklist and just be like, check, no check.
We're not
check.
fair and balanced here, okay?
Yeah, that's true. We definitely learned something from a certain media organization.
We're very biased around here on .p. And of course, you can find us on twitch.tv/.ptv. We, like I said, I don't know when we're going to do the stream for the latest season giveaway of Steam gift cards, but we are going to do it before season 3 starts up, right?
4. Yeah.
Season 4? Wow.
I believe it's 4.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 4.
Yeah, see, that's where my brain is. It's been so long since we've had it feels like already it's been way long since our last .p in-house. But yeah, so we'll be doing the in-house giveaways on the stream here at some point. Just stay tuned to us or follow us on Twitter, and you'll get those announcements as they're happening. And if we randomly select your name and you've been participating in the in-houses, don't worry. We will hang on to that gift card. It's not like we'll give it away to somebody else if you don't show up to the stream. But if you want to know the moment it happens, follow us on Twitter, and we'll shoot out a tweet whenever it happens. And continue to send us emails, defenseofthepatients@gmail.com for Tuesday Q&A questions. Flub's always going to be there. He's always going to be choosing which ones to go through and which ones to revisit with us. And if we don't get to your questions, we're banking them, and we're going to get to them as quickly as we possibly can on the show. Some of them have even may even influence a Wednesday show. We we're going to discuss one of the topics that was sent in on this show. So you never know. Hit us up. Let us know. Anything else, guys? Anything we should add?
Patreon.com/defenseofthepatients. Send us money, and we will do things for you. All sorts of things.
Mostly replays.
You can commission podcast episodes. I already put up my replay review on the YouTube channel, so if you want to get a taste of the quality that you will get, although you'll probably get better quality, honestly, because that was like my first one in a while, and I thought it came out, I was very happy with it, but I need to like get back in the flow of things. So I'm excited to do a lot of those. Those are a good time. And
I know Proud's done with his, but he's trying to edit something in about last hitting.
Yeah, he's trying to make me look bad. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
But because he's going the extra mile. But
yeah, he's vying for first place.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to do something extra because I've already like cinched my victory.
Or lynched it.
Well, lynched it. I mean, I lynched his victory, and I kept mine on like next to me.
Fair enough. All right, I'm closing her out. If you guys, you know where to find us, all that good stuff. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to tune in tomorrow for Theorycraft Thursdays coming up. We got whatever's going on Friday. We'll figure it out, and you'll find out on Friday. So until next time, this is Cyphus for Flub for Bursy.